there, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to tell you what you can expect from a Sagittarius moon. Our moon sign is different from our sun sign. Our sun sign rules over our most visible conscious self-expression, whereas our moon sign rules over our more private emotional inner world. Our moon sign traits and qualities is usually only visible to those we are quite close and intimate with, whereas our sun sign qualities can be quite noticeable to everybody that we interact with. A person who has a moon in Sagittarius, when they were a child, they were incredibly curious. However, what happened was when they would ask questions, they weren't really given concrete answers. They were either told that they're too young to know the answer to this question, or there was just a general lack of interest in trying to educate the child and trying to help the child find out the answers to the questions that they had. A child with the moon in Sagittarius needs to find out and learn as much information as they can. If they have the desire to explore something, if they want to explore a topic and find out about something, they should be given the freedom too, because if they're not, it can be very damaging to them. When a person with a moon in Sagittarius is restricted and they're not allowed to explore specific topics, to explore specific ideas, and to just find out the answers to certain things that they want to know, it really impacts their emotional state quite negatively. A moon in Sagittarius person is the happiest when they're able to find out things about the world, when they're able to explore the things they're interested in. However, when they're restricted in this regard, they can be incredibly unhappy. If a person with a moon in Sagittarius is not able to explore the truth that they're after, they will basically imagine and make up their own truth. When this happens, it can be quite dangerous. They will then subjectively create a truth and a perception based on what other people have told them and based on their limited experience that they've had at that point. However, if they're allowed to explore things more, they're able to come to a more balanced conclusion and they're able to balance their emotions inside themselves much easier. A person with a moon in Sagittarius can always seem like they're miles away, like they're not really present. And that is because in their mind, they're actually exploring different places, different ideas, different concepts. And these are things that they feel they can't often be open about and they can't often discuss with the people in their lives or that they're currently around. The biggest difference between a Sagittarius sun and a Sagittarius moon is that a Sagittarius sun would have likely been allowed a lot of freedom to explore the things that they wanted to growing up. However, a Sagittarius moon would have likely been restricted. As a Sagittarius moon gets older and the more they're held back from freedom of exploration, the more restless they become. Moon in Sagittarius people can struggle to be in relationships because they struggle to settle down. They constantly want to be on the go. They want to be out there. They want to discover the world. They want to meet new people. And being caged into one relationship and one place is highly restricting for them. Travel and adventure is very important to their soul and their emotional happiness. If they do not get to experience travels and adventures, they will spend most of their time daydreaming and yearning for the experiences that they can have in the different places that they can be. If not able to have these experiences and they spend their time daydreaming, they can become quite depressed because they feel like they're losing out on life. They feel like they're stuck in one place and that life is very restricting to them and they don't get to experience anything else than what they're currently experiencing. In my previous video about Moon and Scorpio, I explained how Moon and Scorpios are like people who are in a cage with a bunch of monsters and crazy wild animals, and they have to try and survive in this cage with all these monsters and wild animals trying to attack them. In this analogy for Moon in Sagittarius, I'm going to say that the Moon in Sagittarius person is the wild animal alone in the cage. They want to be a wild animal out there in the wild, free to explore the things they want, free of restrictions and limitations. What obviously happens is when you keep a wild animal in a cage for too long, it becomes highly aggressive. A wild animal is highly insensitive to your feelings and the way that you feel, and it's basically just going to rage at you and freak out at you because it wants to get out the cage, it wants to do its thing. Now, for a moon in Sagittarius, this is what their emotional space is like. They want to do their thing, they want to be themselves, they want to be free, but they can't. So they're consistently agitated. They're consistently feeling angry, aggressive, provoked. Moon in Sagittarius people can often snap at other people. They can hurt the feelings of other people. They can be overly blunt and overly harsh to other people. But the reason they are this way is because they feel like they've been restricted for so very long. They're not intentionally trying to hurt other people. They're not intentionally wanting to cause discomfort for other people through being so overly reactive and so overly blunt. But like I said, just like a wild animal in a cage, if it's been caged in for too long, it's not going to have any awareness or consciousness of how its reactions are affecting you. It's just trying to get out of its cage. That's basically the emotional space that a moon in Sagittarius is often in. Moon in Sagittarius people have this ability to objectively view things, and they're able to view the truth in things without letting emotions get involved. Sagittarius is the sign that represents the pursuit for the truth, and moon in Sagittarius people do not let falsities and they do not let emotions stop them from seeing the truth. In my Moon in Scorpio people, I explained how Moon in Scorpio people do not like anything that is pretentious and superficial. Now, because Sagittarius is the sign that comes after Scorpio, Sagittarius still carries a lot of these lessons and these traits with them, where they also do not like things that are pretentious and superficial, and they want to expose the truth. They only want to be presented with the truth. When a Moon in Sagittarius person is dealing with a pretentious person, or somebody's trying to cover up the truth, a Moon in Sagittarius person will bulldoze through that illusion and basically be super blunt about the truth. That is why people often do not like Moon in Sagittarius people, and they get irritated with them because they're so blunt, they're so straightforward. But it's because they do not like to play along with or give into any kind of illusion, and they want to show the truth, they want to speak the truth, and they want the truth to be known. Moon in Sagittarius people are highly truthful people, and they live their life according to the motto that you should always speak your highest truth, and they expect this from other people. And when other people are dishonest to them and they lie to them and they're deceitful to them, it actually hurts a Moon in Sagittarius more than anything. The reason for this is because the Moon in Sagittarius person is always being truthful. They're always laying their cards on the table. They're always letting everything be known. They find it highly unfair and disrespectful towards them when a person they trust is untruthful and dishonest towards them. That is the biggest form of betrayal that they can possibly experience in their life, to be threatened. What I mean by this is, if the people in their life is allowed the freedom to do everything that they want to do, they might possibly lose these people. So sometimes a Sagittarius moon can subconsciously try and control the people in their life because they fear losing them and losing that only sense of stability and comfort that they have in their life. It's a bit of a catch-22, but it's often what a Sagittarius moon can do. A moon in Sagittarius never feels comfortable and at home at home. They always feel the most happy and comfortable when they're out there in the world exploring and adventuring. They often feel that their place of home is not really where they belong, and they feel that they belong somewhere out there, but they don't really know where this out there is. They're on this unending search their entire life to find this place that makes them feel home, that makes them feel like they belong there. But they never really find that place, and they're consistently searching for it. They'll go to different countries, they'll interact with people from different cultures, they'll study different topics. They'll do whatever it takes to find a sense of belonging and a sense of home, but they never really find that. And that is why Sagittarius moons are these unending searchers. They're always searching their entire life for their home. It's quite ironic because a Sagittarius moon is always searching for their home or a place where they feel they belong out there, and they feel that they don't really belong at their actual place of home. And even though they don't feel like they completely belong wherever it is they are, they still feel like wherever it is they are, if it is not their place of home, they feel more comfortable there. So anywhere away from home can often feel a lot more fulfilling and brings a Sagittarius moon a lot more happiness than their actual place of home. Moon and Sagittarius people aren't the most in touch with their emotions. Now, they can be highly emotional people, but they have an ability to detach themselves from sentimental emotional things. So what I mean by this is if they love someone or they love something, but this thing or this person stops them from being able to search for that ultimate truth and being able to seek the sense of adventure and happiness that they want to seek in the world around them, they will close themselves off and they will shut themselves off from that person or that thing, and they will move on with their life. They do not allow things to keep them restricted and to keep them back. If they're going to see that something's going to stop them from finding that adventure that they seek and from being independent and free, they will cut that thing off and they will basically shove that emotion aside and move on with their lives. The fastest way to get a moon in Sagittarius to fall out of love with you and to lose feelings for you is to restrict them, is to stop them from exploring what they want to explore. It's by telling them, I don't want you to go there, I don't want you to do that. They will very fast start losing their feelings for you. Many Moon and Sagittarius people do have a lot of negative emotions for whatever reasons in their life. They experienced restriction and containment and the inability to experience freedom. And because, like I said earlier, they kind of push their emotion to the side and they move on with their life, they subconsciously can be a little bit cynical sometimes. In their ultimate, highest, happiest point, they're some of the most cheerful, enthusiastic, and optimistic people out there. But when they're in their low points, they can be highly cynical and critical. Most of the time, a Moon and Sagittarius person will use this almost like humorous face and humorous kind of temperament to hide the darker emotions and thoughts that's actually going on inside them. But very often, it's very difficult for them to actually do this, and they can just become very, very negative. When they are stressed out and when they are in negative situations, their automatic response is to want to escape. It's to want to flee. Moon and Sagittarius people are the kind of people who can very easily leave their family behind and just leave everything behind and move to another country and start a new life there. They can easily change their name and their job and just forget about everything that has held them back for so long and just explore that life that they've always wanted. Because a Moon and Sagittarius person would have likely been restricted in some form or another in their early life, as adults, when they're able to experience the freedom of engaging with new people and places and activities, it gives them a sense of inner happiness, completion, and liberation that is almost unexplainable. Because a Moon and Sagittarius person would have been restricted somehow in their life, what happens is every time they're exposed to a new bit of information or a new truth, they change their perception. They change what they actually believe in, because for so long this truth has been held from them. It's been held away from them and they haven't seen it. They're only able to behave in a specific way based on what they have perceived and experienced in their life at a certain point. But when they actually experience something new and they see a new truth for what it is, they can entirely change their perception. They can entirely change who they are and where they're at. Very often, people will say, oh, but a Moon and Sagittarius person is constantly chopping and changing what they believe and who they are. But that is not what is actually happening below the surface. What is actually happening is they are being presented with new truths and new facts and information that has been withheld from them before because they weren't really allowed to explore these things before. Now that they are, they're able to change their perception of life and the way that they view things and the way that they perceive themselves because they have now experienced this new truth. A Moon in Sagittarius will usually respond in such a way based on how they perceive life at that given time. But they can very easily be presented with new information that will then change their response to that same situation at a different time. A moon in Sagittarius knows that there is a new perspective, there is a new way to view life just around the corner. In every person you meet, in every experience you have, to every new place that you travel to. But so often they're held back from exploring these things, and that is when the negative emotions come out of them. The healthiest thing for a child with the moon in Sagittarius to experience is traveling to new countries, meeting new people, and just exploring a massive variety of different experiences. If they do not get exposed to this, they can have unhealthy emotional responses as adults. The thing about a moon in Sagittarius is people often get very offended when they speak their truth and when they just say things as it is, but people need to bear in mind that a moon in Sagittarius doesn't really have any harmful or negative intentions. Moon in Sagittarius natives are actually some of the most humble, sweetest people out there. And when they are being blunt and when they're telling you the truth and telling it like it is, they're doing it very innocently. They're not trying to hurt your feelings. They're just observing things for what they are. And like a moon in Scorpio who observes the hidden truths, they observe things for what they are, but they keep it secret. They don't say anything. They don't let it known. The moon in Sagittarius sees these things as well, but they make it known. A slight dark side to a moon in Sagittarius is they often push their emotions aside so much that they do not really deal with them and they deny their emotions. And they often try and find scapegoats. They'll often blame their problems on other people instead of taking responsibility for themselves and their emotions and actually taking some time out to reflect instead of escaping all the time. They'd rather blame others and they'd rather blame situations in their life for their misfortunes. But very often they do create their own misfortunes through consistently fleeing the situation and never actually dealing with it. Moon in Sagittarius do not feel secure if they're not able to explore and adventure. But one thing they do need to learn in this life is to find a way to feel secure within themselves, even if they're not consistently out there wandering. Because if they're going to be consistently feeding this need to be wandering and to be exploring and to be out there, they're never going to be completely content and happy completely by themselves. What if their legs get cut off? What if they're never able to walk again? What if they're never able to really be free and go somewhere on their own again? How will they really be happy with themselves then? A moon in Sagittarius needs to try and reach a point where, like I said, even if their legs get cut off and they can't be free and adventurous, they'll still be happy with themselves. This is one of the biggest challenges that these natives will likely face. What happens very often with those who have a moon in Sagittarius is their mother could have been highly encouraging towards them for them to get an education. Their mother pushed them to learn and to further their knowledge. But what could have happened is they could have been pushed into a direction to learn about a specific topic or a subject matter, but then they came to some realization that what they have learned about the subject matter is limited, and it's actually only what a specific institution or what specific people, or whatever the case, wanted them to know about it, but there's so much more truth to it. So even though they received this education based on the subject matter, they realize that their knowledge is still limited because the education that they've received does not actually cover all the other aspects of things that are unspoken and unseen. Moon and Sagittarius kids can often feel deeply hurt and betrayed when they become adults and they learn that the adults in their life actually lied to them when they were children about specific things. The reason that these adults lied to them about these things is because they didn't want to shatter the moon in Sagittarius's childhood dreams. You know, like when a child believes in Santa and you don't want to tell the child that Santa doesn't actually exist. It's a similar kind of concept with the moon in Sagittarius and the adults in their life. The adults in their life would have likely kept information from them innocently because they didn't want to break their heart or shatter their dreams. But when the moon in Sagittarius finds out that they were lied to and that this important information was withheld from them, they feel so deeply hurt and betrayed, even though the intention was not to directly hurt them. It's very important to always be honest with a moon in Sagittarius child, you kind of can't tell a moon in Sagittarius child that Santa exists and that the Tooth Fairy exists and all these kind of things if they don't, because the moment the moon in Sagittarius kid finds out the Tooth Fairy is not real or Santa's not real, they're not going to be able to trust you even though your intentions were good. So this is today's video on the moon in Sagittarius. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see some more astrology and spirituality videos. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this video. Do you have a moon in Sagittarius and can you relate to what I've said? Do you know a person who has a moon in Sagittarius who is quite similar to what I've mentioned? Check out the link to my Patreon below if you'd like to become a patron of mine and if you'd like to support this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.